please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
On the show today, we drive the facelifted Mercedes-Benz C-Class. Shumi's got the answers to all your queries on Auto Selector, and we also drive the Petrol Audi Q5. Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, so I need that. Now, when it comes to the compact luxury sedan space, the C-Class is one of the front runners as well as a trendsetter. And while the rest of the field is still playing catch-up, the C-Class is all set for its midlife makeover. Now, Rohit was in the beautiful countryside of Germany as well as Luxembourg, and he got a chance to drive this car. Take a look.
The CLA may be your entry ticket into the Mercedes-Benz sedan lineup. However, it is the C-Class that truly introduces you to the finesse, the luxury that we associate with a Mercedes-Benz. It is no surprise then that the C-Class model line has been a highly successful one. That S-Class inspired form has certainly worked in its favor, and now it's been given a midlife makeover with, guess what? A lot more S-Class goodness. And majority of those goodies comes in the form of technology under the hood, namely the assistance systems. But before we get there, let us first take a look at what has changed on the outside, for it takes a keen eye to spot the changes. For starters, the AMG Diamond Grille is now available even on this bread and butter sedan, and that immediately lifts the premium feel of the C-Class. The headlights are new too. The headlamps on the updated C-Class that you will see with a more complex detailing are actually the lower spec LED setup, whereas this, the simpler design, is made up of the multi-beam LED setup, which has 84 LEDs which can be individually turned on or off or rotated to brighten up various road elements without really dazzling the other road users. The multi-beam LED headlamps can see up to 650 meters in front, which is a big deal. At the back, the tail lights have been given a slightly more angular design, and I believe that it looks a bit out of place on the otherwise curvaceous design of the car. The car that you see here is done up in a lovely shade of matte grey, and I really hope Mercedes-Benz brings it to India too. Step in and you will be welcomed by the flowing design of the C-Class, which looks so fresh and appealing even today. It is no surprise then that Mercedes-Benz haven't really played around too much with it, save for the new steering wheel design inspired by the S-Class and a larger 10.25-inch infotainment screen with a newer Command 5.5 operating system. The instrumentation is all digital too and 12.5 inches in size. If you're wondering why this car doesn't have the two seamless screens like the ones that you see in the S-Class, or why it doesn't have the MBUX touchscreen infotainment system that debuted with the A-Class, that's simply because the design and the architectural restrictions of the current generation C-Class. All of it will be available in the next generation of the C-Class. The real S-Class goodies come in the form of the radar guidance technologies like active steering assist, which comprises of the active lane change assist and the active emergency stop assist functions, which can help the car maintain its lane autonomously and can come to a complete halt all by itself if it detects an impending collision. There is also the new active Distronic radar guided cruise control, which can alter the car's speed as per the behavior of the vehicles around it. I'd like to believe that some of these radar-guided technologies and assistance systems will also make their way into the Indian market with the updated C-Class. Mercedes-Benz India is already using them on the updated S-Class, and I don't think it would be a big effort for them to unlock it on the C-Class as well. Needless to say, it will also give them a clear distinction over their competition. The C-Class has completely revamped its engine lineup too. There are either all new engines or updated versions of existing powertrains. The updated C-Class will be continued to be offered with 3 drivetrain options for the Indian market. There are 2 diesels and 1 petrol. The latter comes with a 1.5-litre engine. Now don't cringe at that displacement just yet, not till you've driven that car. It puts out about 184 PS of power and 280 Newton meters of torque, which is an output that's comparable to the outgoing C200 petrol. And then it also gets twin-scroll turbocharging to make sure that there is a decent amount of low-end torque for urban use. Like in the new S-Class sold in Europe, The C200's M264 turbocharged engine employs an integrated starter generator, or ISG, that uses a 48-volt electrical subsystem to recover or generate and store electrical energy, which is then used as torque fill whenever the engine needs a boost, like pulling overtakes or eliminating turbo lag. The technology is called EQ Boost in Mercedes-Benz Peak. Mercedes-Benz is still undecided on whether this technology or this engine will make it to India, but if they do, they will replace the current C200 Petrol. The range topper for the regular C-Class sedan is going to be the C300D. It replaces the C250 and it uses a new 1950cc or a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. It belongs to the new OM654 family. So if all these numbers and jargon sounds familiar to you, it's essentially the same engine that powers the E-Class, the E-Class All-Terrain. In the C300D, it puts out about 245 PS of power, which is a big 40 PS jump over the C250. The torque still remains the same, 500 Newton meters, comes in at the same 1600 RPM. So driving in the city is not a problem at all, driving in the highway is not a problem at all either. In fact, from the word go, it feels a lot more eager, a lot sprightlier than the C250, which is a good thing. All the new engines come mated to the 9G-tronic 9-speed transmission, and in the 300D, it responds quickly to park throttle but takes a breather before dropping a gear when you step on the pedal. While hitting the twisties with this car in the mood for spirited driving, the paddle shifters are your best friends. The 300D variant that we sampled was spec'd with air suspension, which feels great on the European roads, but the setup is a bit too firm for our conditions. It may be offered on the India spec model as an optional extra, while the lower spec models will continue to ride on the relatively more reliable coil spring setup. Our test car had the 4MATIC all-wheel drive too, which imparted a numb feel to the steering as compared to the two-wheel driven variants that will come to India. Speaking of which, the updated C-Class is headed to India by October 2018. While we expect the prices of the entry-spec C200 to remain in the same ballpark as the outgoing car, the higher-spec variants are expected to get a tad bit pricier, which is justified considering all the changes and additional equipment that it will come with.
Well, just as Rohit mentioned in his story, it would make things a bit more interesting in the segment if Mercedes-Benz were to bring in some driver assist aids into India when they do launch the C-Class sometime later this year. Time then for us to take our first break here on the show, but do come right back because on the other side, Shumi will answer all of your queries on Auto Selector. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive and you've joined us on our Auto Selector segment here on the show where our Overdrive editor Shumi joins us to answer all of your queries. Hi Shumi, our first question this week comes in from Vikas Kalyani. He writes in from Ahmedabad saying that he wants to upgrade his car. He drives a Maruti Alto 800. At present, he has a budget of 7 lakh rupees. He wants a value for money car. So he shortlisted the Honda Amaze, the Maruti Suzuki Swift, the Hyundai i10, the Volkswagen Ameo as well as the Ford Aspire. Which would be the best in this case, and he would also want to convert the car into a CNG. What would you suggest? Because
since you're going to convert it to CNG, I would say stick to Maruti or Hyundai. They are the safe choices. Always check with your dealer about how it affects your warranty though. There are manufacturers who will void your warranty if you don't use an approved kit. Within the choices that you've made though, I would say Swift and i10 look like the good options to me. Of the two, the Swift is the newer car. It's a more spacious car. It's a safer car overall because of the equipment it brings. That's what I would recommend to you. Get the Swift, check with your dealer if a CNG kit is available for it that is certified by Maruti so you don't lose your warranty. And if that be the case, get the Swift and install the CNG kit.
Shumi, our next question this week comes in from Jamshedpur. Rudra Raj Singh writes in saying that he wants to buy a scooter and his choices are the Aprilia SR150, the TVS N-Torque 125, the Honda Grazia, as well as the Yamaha Ray ZR. Which scooter would you suggest?
Rudraj, I think out of choices you made, you have two scooters really that you should be considering, the Aprilia SR150 and the TVS N-Torque. Buy the SR150 if ride quality and comfort are not important to you, but you really want a fast, performance-oriented scooter that makes you feel good about riding it. There is nothing like the SR150 on the market. It is the most expensive option here also, but I think that's the scooter you should be buying if sport, performance and enjoyment are your primaries. You haven't told us. The other option to that is the TVS NTORQ 125. It's obviously not as powerful as the Aprilia, but it's a super good scooter to ride, both in terms of when you're just chilling and want to just get through city traffic, also when you want a sporty experience and want to really push it. What I really like about the NTORQ though is actually the ride quality. It feels stiff initially, but it's able to absorb bumps so well that it's very hard to not recommend that scooter. So if you want all-out performance, get the SR 150. If you want a more rounded package with a sporty intent, get the TVS NTORQ 125. Two really good scooters. There's not a bad option in there.
Well, if you have any more queries, you can send them to us at helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. That is our email address. You can also send them to us via Facebook or Twitter, and Shumi will answer them for you on the show. Moving on to what made headlines in the world of auto, let's take a look.
This is Volvo's latest entrant into the compact luxury SUV market. So the XC40 launched today for 39.9 lakh ex-showroom India, and that's an introductory price and undercuts the segment significantly. So they've launched it in just one trim, which is the R design trim. Plenty of features to talk about as far as the cabin is concerned. So you get a 9-inch infotainment sensors touchscreen. Now it's not exactly just infotainment. You get plenty of features in the car that can be controlled from here. So it comes with the 4 driving modes plus 1 individual mode. So you have eco, you have dynamic, you have comfort, and you have an individual mode. So those can be programmed in the car how you want it to behave. The engine, as of now, it just gets one variant. So you get a twin turbo 2-liter diesel engine making 190 PS of power, 400 Newton meters of torque or thereabout. But the real talking points and what separates the XC40 from the rest of the competition is its safety features, and especially the radar assisted safety features. So you get adaptive cruise control. You can put a car at a speed, you can set it at a speed. You can also set the XC40 is just going to follow the car in front. So if it brakes, the car brakes automatically. If it accelerates, the car will accelerate all the way from 0 to 210 kilometers per hour, which is the limited top speed of the vehicle. So pretty much stop start, you have adaptive cruise control. What you also get is pilot assist. So what that essentially is that you can have a hands-free driving experience. If you set the car to pilot assist, it will maintain its lanes, it will look out for obstacles, it will watch out for animals and other vehicles in the vicinity, and will make adaptive changes to that. So quite neat. As far as other safety features are concerned, you get 7 airbags, so front airbags, passenger airbags, as well as curtain airbags. So a lot going for the car. The radar-based systems obviously being the USP, and for 39.9 lakhs, I think not only has Volvo made a very desirable car, but it's also a very likable proposition in the segment.
Earlier this week, the big news came in from the Volkswagen Group announcing that Škoda Auto would be spearheading the brand's growth plans in India. We caught up with Bernard Mayer, CEO Škoda Auto, to find out more about this India 2.0 initiative, their future platform and heavy localization that will bring cost of ownership down for customers.
We are seen as a very well-established, high-valued brand in India, but we see that in this stunning market we do have a lot of more opportunities, and this will be covered by the India 2.0 initiative. Well, we decided together with the group that we will start this approach with 2 brands in the very dynamic segment of the mid-size SUVs. We have a very well-established platform already, probably the most competitive platform in the world, the MQB A0 of the Volkswagen Group. We decided to invest, and this is something we will announce today, 1 billion euros in the next 2.5 years.
We've driven a German SUV that launched last week. Come right back after this break, we'll tell you more. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now the Audi Q5 left us quite impressed last month when we compared it against its closest rivals, the Volvo XC60 as well as the BMW X3. Now there is a new Q5 which is launched in the market in the petrol variant, but will that leave us just as impressed as its diesel variant? Let's take a look.
The Q5 is an excellent all-rounder. Leaving the leisure cars aside, it's probably all the car that you'll ever need. It's got an eager drivetrain, it's spacious, it's kitted out quite well, and in a sea of cars that have started looking overtly aggressive or sporty, it has and has had quite a pleasant vibe to it. In fact, the first generation of the Q5 was a massive success. It went from strength to strength for over 9 years. And the new one it's an instant hit too. In fact, Audi India tells us that they received 500 orders for these in the first month of its launch itself. If you too have been eyeing for one, but the only thing that's holding you back is your wish to have better refinement, a punchier petrol performance, and of course cleaner emissions, then rejoice. It's time for you to schedule that test drive because the Q5 Petrol is finally here. The hard-to-understand Audi nomenclature classifies this as the Q5 45 TFSI, which points towards the 1984cc turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine. It is the same engine that also does duty in the Q7 and is the only petrol engine option that the Q5 currently ships with anywhere in the world. Marketing lingo terms this car as the most powerful and the fastest Q5 in production. That claim comes courtesy of the power output, which at 252 PS is identical to that of the Q7 Petrol. Now this car is also lighter, which means that it gets better power to weight ratio. That also explains why the Q5 gets a 45 TFSI moniker compared to the 40 TFSI that you get on the Q7 Petrol. That better power to weight ratio also means that this car has quicker acceleration. Audi claims a 6.3-second sprint from standstill to 100 km an hour, which is half a second quicker than the Q7 Petrol. In our test, we managed the sprint in 6.8 seconds, which is about a second quicker than what we managed with the Q5 diesel. The engine is superbly refined throughout the rev range and a pleasant reminder of why we love petrol motors. It has a healthy torque output of 370 Nm, and thanks to turbocharging, all of it is delivered from as low as 1600 RPM, which is comparable to the torque output of the 2-litre diesel counterpart. That said, the Q5 does need a little bit of motivation to get off the mark when you compare it to the Q7 Petrol. Now that difference can be attributed to the fact that the Q7 employs a torque converter automatic transmission, which is quicker and smoother when it gets its roll on. The Q5 on the other hand employs the 7-speed DSG, which does induce a bit of head shake at crawling speeds, but impresses with its meaty mid-range pull. And then you have this surge of power kicking in beyond the 2000 RPM mark, which is typical of a turbocharged motor. But that turbocharging also ensures that the engine runs relaxed at cruising speeds. The gearbox is quick to react to part and full throttle inputs. Typical to a DSG, the shifts are smooth, precise and telepathic. The power and torque is fed to the Quattro all-wheel drive system that is always alert and ready to alter torque between the four wheels to aid grip or to counter slip. The Q5 diesel is a fun driver with its adaptive suspension and the Quattro grip, and the petrol variant only makes it better with its punchier performance and noticeably sharper turn-ins thanks to that lighter front end. When you approach switchbacks or when you go a little too hot into the corners, you realize that there is a bit of vertical movement, but it's very predictive and never unnerving. And the confident dynamics of the car further complemented by the progressive brakes. The only fly in the ointment, as always, is that artificial steering feel. But that's something that you'll get used to and get over with time. The character of the Q5 suspension and drivetrain can be altered using various driving modes. So whether you're cruising on the highway, trotting in the city, having fun around the twisties, or just getting a laid-back drive on an off-road trail, there's the eco, comfort, dynamic and off-road modes that complement your intent. Cycle between these driving modes and the Q5 can be a total hoot when you're in the mood, or it can be a pleasant commuter otherwise. Visually, there is no difference between the diesel and the petrol variants of the Q5 save for the badges. It is a handsome looker on the outside and has a pleasant cabin that is spacious for 4 adults and a kid. The kit, comprising of features like 3-zone climate control, the virtual cockpit instrumentation, a panoramic sunroof, wireless charging, smartphone interfaces, etc., and the safety features like ABS, EBT, ESC, 8 airbags, tire pressure monitoring, etc., is similar between both the variants too. And surprisingly, their prices aren't too far apart either. I think that's a very nice move by Audi, because that leaves you with only one choice to make. Should you choose the more practical diesel variant or go with the fun quotient of the petrol? Needless to say, I'm going to choose the latter.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this week's episode of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook as well as Twitter, and you can follow our latest videos on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and many thanks for watching.